Hey guys, welcome back. It's time to take a look at the lawsuit filed by Alt against PWCC, who is now known as Fanatics Collect, purchased by Fanatics. And I'd like to think it's a little bit less sketchy than it had been in the past, especially on the higher end sports end of things. There's a whole lot of bad stuff going on, so we're going to briefly touch on all of the bad stuff. We had card trimming and alteration fraud being run through PWCC. That's not a good look. We got PWCC Pokemon card auctions being shilled, according to eBay, who kicked them off the platform. It used to be hosted on eBay. They sold other stuff through eBay, on eBay. No longer the case. That was quite some time ago. As you can tell by the variants in the hats, we had PWCC's new scam grade reviewed by PSA. And yes, a lot of these companies, all the bigger companies, the ones that are consigning items, the ones that are grading these cards, they get tied in. They get tied into whether it's employees, whether it's people higher ups in the company, or just outsiders who are doing some fraud. And they love to use these companies because they can hide behind that. They can hide their identity, and hopefully no one catches on who's doing it. So we had Eric Myers here. So this ties in the Logan Paul's fake case, which I believe they all knew was fake. But essentially, he was selling items for Jacob. Also, it's just like some real sketchy shit where he's going on about how he was bidding on items, even though that's against PWCC's terms, or terms at the time. He wasn't supposed to be bidding on stuff. He was getting other people to bid on stuff for him because he wanted to buy it. Now, where he has information internally, clearly that's a conflict of interest. You shouldn't be buying the items on the platform if you're working for the company and if you have access to anything of that sort. Now, Shine. We'll get into Shine here. Also tied in with the fake case. I believe everyone knew that case was fake. A little bit of a criminal record here, it seems, with some drug trafficking. Pretty interesting stuff. Again, fake case. Here he is with Logan. And Fanatics. So Fanatics, for the most part, they seem to be doing a pretty good job avoiding the controversy and the bad actors, the fraudulent actors in the hobby. But not a great look when they're promoting Shine. In my opinion, that's on them. That's up to them. But I don't think this is your poster boy. Sure, he's going to have these cards. They're going to be crazy cards. They're going to bring crazy cards and put them on display. But is that the start off you want to have to begin with? No. Enough about that. If you want any more information on any of that, just go watch the videos that are shown in this video here. Now we have Alt, another auction platform. So it's weird that Alt was buying cards from another auction platform, I guess, in order to sell on their own platform, which is a little bit weird in itself. Like, if you're a platform for buying and selling, you probably don't want to participate too much in the buying and selling. Clearly, there's unfair advantages and everything of the sort, as you can tell by their claims or by their grievances with PWCC. Now, Alt is not squeaky clean either. We had the Alt CEO/founder, Leore Avadar, who got into some trouble in the past. Is he doing bad stuff now? I don't know, but it seems like he was doing some bad stuff in the past here. We have Roger, who highlights it in this video. If you want more context, once again, watch that video. So we have Art Power, who sells 3 Kobe cards to a buyer, that buyer being Mr. Avadar. One of the cards gets rejected by PSA, the other 2 pass. Buyer demands $76.50 for the card that didn't pass, even though the total paid for all 3 cards was only $14.5K. First instance of fraud. After buyer gets their $76.50 refund, I inform them that one of the other Kobe's PSA graded as real is also fake, the PMG Championship. Buyer then tries to convince PSA that he paid $7K for the PMG champ. Second instance of fraud. So a little bit of trying to game the system, trying to scam PSA out of some money for their guarantee. If it works, buyer comes out ahead by a few dollars after getting refunds from both Art Power and PSA, and gets a free Kobe Star Ruby, the 3rd card, the only one which was actually real of the 3. So 2 fake cards, a little bit of a situation. Tried to take advantage of a situation there, in my opinion. Now, let's get into the lawsuit. All right. We have Alt files lawsuit against PWCC alleging fraud in Patrick Mahomes Kobe Bryant card auctions. Woo. All right. I'd like to get a little bit more context, I guess, on why and how they were buying stuff. Are they still buying stuff and trying to, like, bring it onto their own platform and sell it? Were they lacking big ticket items and they had to, drum up some excitement? A little bit of a weird way to do so by doing it yourself, but whatever. Sports Card Marketplace, Alt filed a lawsuit against former auction house PWCC, now owned by Fanatics, alleging fraud and breach of auctioneer's duty, according to a lawsuit filed Wednesday in New York Supreme Court. All right, we got this nice little article here on The Athletic by Larry Holder. Thank you, Larry. The complaint alleges PWCC conducted a widespread years-long scheme of shill bidding using internal and external actors to artificially inflate auction prices for high-value sports and trading cards. Alt alleges PWCC retained access to confidential maximum bid information to drive up prices and mislead buyers. So, if they can see on the back end what the max bid is, and they can just bid up until you're still gonna win, but you're gonna pay more for it. They're gonna hike your bid up a little bit. And on the very expensive cards, that's some serious money there, and that's some serious fraud. Now, what did eBay see? How did they know? What did they know? What was going on here? Hopefully none of this stuff. Again, bad shit just loves to go through these big companies, whether they allow bad actors to do it or the bad actors are internal. That's the difference. That's what's going on here. It's both are happening. Alt is asking for at least $13.7 million, which is the total losses the company estimates it's sustained attributable to PWCC's alleged fraudulent conduct. Alt is also seeking additional compensation for punitive damages. Between 2021 and 2023, Alt said it spent more than $10.7 million on PWCC's platform while winning 707 auctions and obtaining 809 items. In late 2023, Alt alleges to have learned that PWCC's leadership knew about shill bidding and directly encouraged and allowed other external parties to place fake bids on certain auctions, boxing out the authentic bidders and artificially inflating prices. So just, dude, where there's money to be made, you might think, hey, I can trust a big platform, right? I mean, Whatnot has shown us that you shouldn't do that, but no, they're not the only ones. Where there's money, there's bad people, and the bad people will come. And that's why primarily it was sports cards before. Now that we're seeing more money in Pokemon, you're going to see the bad actors snake their way in. We saw it especially during the pandemic. A lot of even the sports card fraudsters moving into Pokemon, moving into other trading card games. Maybe they're known. Maybe they can't work with certain grading companies. Maybe they can't sell on certain auction platforms. My expectation for the grading companies, I don't care if a card is graded or not. I do not value the opinion of some low-wage employee. You shouldn't either. You need to be buying the card, not the grade. Even if you want graded cards, make sure that you're more of an expert than the person that is pumping that shit 30 seconds at a time through the system, handing it off to somebody, potentially damaging it, whatever that might be. I get it. They can be worth more money. People love to have a 10 on their card or whatever it might be. The black label is the stupidest thing to ever exist. We saw BGS. They're all guilty of it. CGC did a little bit of a speed run with working with bad actors and people that were so bad. You got to be pretty damn bad for a grading company to decide, hey, I don't want to work with you anymore. It's too much of a headache. It's too much of a liability, because it can be pretty secret until someone like me finds out. Alt also alleges that PWCC flagged when high net worth bidders such as Alt were participating in PWCC auctions and arranged, solicited, and encouraged shill bids to increase the bidding. For years, customers around the world trusted PWCC's assurances that when they made a bid on a sports card on their site, that those transactions were fair, transparent, and free from manipulation. Now, there's always going to be some amount of shill bidding, because if somebody consigns the items, yes, they can bid them up to a certain price. Do they get caught doing so? When the auction company catches these people doing this shit, are they doing the right thing? That's the thing too. Like, if someone's caught bidding up all their own items, are they banned? Are they banned for life? And are they still banned for life if they're making you a lot of money? That's the biggest difference there. So we saw Z&G do the right thing. They had somebody who had a ton of expensive cards. They were shill bidding their own items, and guess what? They told them to stick it up their ass, take your shit back. We're not working with you anymore, and put them on blast. Love it. I wish the big names, the big companies would do the same shit. You want to prove that you're for the hobby and for the community, and you're doing what's in the collector's best interest? Prove it. They don't. they'll give you the corporate speak about how they're there for you, they're going to protect you, and they're not. The vast majority of them, they've all absolutely fucked consumers. Now, this is largely going to be on the higher end of things. If you're on the high end, you're more likely to get shafted. But again, we've seen some mid to, even if it's $1,000 card or something like that, we've seen some fraudsters kind of pump that stuff through. Some lower value stuff that was altered and everything else. Be careful. Be very careful. Today's complaint shows that those assurances were patently untrue. Alt CEO Leore Avadar said in a statement to The Atlantic, PWCC's leadership knowingly engaged in fraudulent practices, inflating auction prices and skewing the fair market value for the entire collecting community, including against one of its biggest competitors, Alt. So if you're like their competitor, you're buying from their platform. I don't know. So I don't know if this is like a business purchase, but it was really... I'm not sure how that worked out or what the reasoning is behind that, but it's funny to see like criminals pointing at criminals, alleged criminals, people that were maybe they didn't successfully commit fraud, but fraud pointing at fraud, allegedly, in my opinion. The lawsuit is about more than just one company. It's about ensuring the integrity of the trading card market as a whole and holding bad actors accountable. I wish that was the case. A PWCC spokesperson said both sides had conducted discussions for months before Wednesday's lawsuit, including evidence for Alt's claims. The spokesperson said Alt provided none, and this is an attempt at a payday. Alt has filed a completely baseless lawsuit against PWCC that lacks any substantive evidence, the spokesperson said. Even though the accusations they are claiming occurred before PWCC changed ownership in May 2023, we carefully looked into their allegations and found zero evidence to support their claims. This isn't the first time PWCC has been accused of shill bidding. Leading online marketplace eBay suspended PWCC from selling items on its platform in August 2021 after eBay determined PWCC had engaged in shill bidding on auctions. I wish more would come out on that as well. Now, if you're bidding on lower end stuff, probably didn't impact you in any way. Always bid like you don't care if you're going to win. Now, on the higher ticket stuff, on the stuff that's harder to price and easier to manipulate, especially if you can see the back end, that's some scary shit. eBay's policies and standards were designed to ensure a trusted marketplace where our community can transact with confidence, eBay said in a statement sent to customers in 2021 when explaining the PWCC ban. If we determine that a buyer or seller is not acting in good faith, eBay takes this seriously and takes action. Man, there's so many examples of how they could have a few people just cleaning up the platform in terms of counterfeits and clearly, things that shouldn't be sold on the platform. I've done countless posts that show items that clearly shouldn't be on the platform, and if they hired a small team for each sector, they would be able to go through, remove all that stuff right away. The automated nonsense that we're seeing from most websites is garbage. It's garbage and it doesn't work. PWCC began its own auction platform after the eBay ban. Fanatics announced the purchase of PWCC in May 2023. The company launched its own auction platforms, Fanatics Collect, replacing the PWCC brand soon after its launch in July 2024. In the lawsuit filed Wednesday, Alt claims that PWCC engaged or was complicit in bid manipulation in auctions that included the following cards. Alt purchased through PWCC. All right, I'll let you guys read that. If you want to read that, go ahead. Alt also questions the legitimacy of a PWCC auction surrounding the Luka Doncic 2018 National Treasures Logo Man Patch Autograph 1/1 BGS9 graded rookie card that sold for $3.12 million in 2022. So I don't know how or what you would need to be able to prove that this stuff was going on. Maybe eBay has access to some of that stuff. Maybe. And if it happened post on the PWCC platform itself, maybe they have to show all of that stuff, show who was bidding on it, show who was. But again, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess like criminals tend to leave a trail behind. Is there a trail there? Who knows? Maybe we'll find out someday. Alt dropped out of the bidding for the card, but alleges a member of Group 1, a group of approximately 6 individuals, Alt alleges fraudulently and collusively bid up items in PWCC auctions was the seller, and other members of Group 1 submitted shill bids to drive up the price of this card. The winning bidder did not complete the auction sale by paying the winning price to PWCC. So like, not the people that don't pay, like that, there's always going to be some extent of that. Some people just have like buyer's remorse. PWCC, Fanatics Collect have done pretty well from what I've seen. If you don't pay for shit, you're banned. I think that's how it should work. How there's always going to be some amount of that, which is an unfortunate part of auctions, I guess, to begin with. PWCC nevertheless publicized this sale as if it had actually been consummated. And PWCC discussed with members of Group 1 a private sale at a different price from the winning auction price. So, and also just like fake prices, fake private sales, fake nonsense in order to make people think that stuff's worth more money. All of that, it's bad stuff. It's going to happen. It's unfortunate. Try to stay away from it if you can. If you're on the higher end of things, you need to be extra careful. Especially if you have just a stupid amount of money and you're just entering into the hobby, you might end up buying some fake play tests or something. All right, Linktree. Thanks for using the Linktree. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do so is by, you guessed it, using the discount codes, using the affiliate links on the Linktree. Do not send me money. I'd rather you guys support for free by either watching the videos or clicking on the Linktree stuff. Now, we got PSA Pikachu, Securus Card Shop, Card Market. There's the Card Market website. Pretty sick. If you're in Europe or if you have friends, make some friends over there. It's a great way to pick up the regional variant stuff. We got Buy, we got Fanatics Live. Fanatics Live, rip and ship, never a good value, but get your free $25 from Catch 'em All Collectibles. Collector app. Per tracking your collection. We got a whole bunch of discount codes for the stuff that I use and recommend. And again, this click before you shop on this stuff. Thank you for doing that. All right, now what do we got? We got the Card Market. We got the Paul. Let's go. If anyone isn't familiar with Paul, I suggest you follow him on the x.com. He does a great breakdown of a lot of the illegal things, the legal happenings in the trading card, sports card world. Very cool. And we're going to go through his diagnosis, his assessment, his breakdown of the lawsuit that we're talking about today. We have Paul who says, but Paul, get on with it. We want to hear about the Alt V PWCC case. Yeah, I know. All right, so what do we got? We got a live read going on, and I'll give it a scroll through. So, from what I understand, this case is going to be about alleged shill bidding. And the complaint starts off by alleging that from 2021 to 2023, PWCC allegedly engaged and was complicit in fraudulent and unethical conduct that artificially inflated the prices paid by alts. As y'all will remember, PWCC operated an online auction platform for cards, etc., but that was bought by Fanatics in 2023. So we'll see, it appears Alt is targeting pre-Fanatics behavior. Anyway, Alt alleges that PWCC had access to supposedly private maximum bids submitted by Alt and other high net worth bidders, and with this info had its peeps target those bidders and artificially drive up the bid prices. So essentially, if you were on there, you were the high net worth bidder and you bid $1,000 on something, maybe they know that max bid. Maybe it's at $50. Maybe they drive it all the way up as close as they can get it to that $1,000. No, that's high net worth is probably the sports cards and stuff that are targeted here. Probably not $1,000 cards that they're doing this with, but who knows? Now, before I continue, cases alleging shilling are difficult. You may remember in 2021, someone brought a case against PWCC alleging shilling because eBay kicked PWCC off its platform, allegedly for shilling. Very difficult, and that's the thing too. You got to trust these companies, and it's hard to do so. When there's money involved, bad actors going to act bad. And that case didn't get past the motion to dismiss stage. So whether this case survives is going to depend heavily on how the alleged shill bidding is pled. Here, Alt alleges during 2021 to 2023, it was the winning bidder in 707 PWCC auctions in which it acquired 809 items and paid in excess of $10.7 million while using PWCC's platform. For the alleged bid manipulation, Alt alleges in 2024 it received information about show bidding in PWCC. For example, Alt alleges PWCC could access a bidder's maximum bids, which are supposed to be private and only viewable by the client that submit the bid. So, like, this is the same stuff we saw with the people working at PWCC before that are bidding on items. There's a reason why they had their own rule in place where you weren't allowed to bid on those items. You weren't allowed to win stuff. You weren't allowed to bid on items in the PWCC auctions if you were an employee or higher up at PWCC. It makes sense. It entirely makes sense. Alt contends when it came to high net worth bidders such as Alt that PWCC would arrange for or solicit shill bids, and that in some auctions it lost. It contends there are identifiers indicating that the bids came from within PWCC, despite an alleged prohibition on that. So, like, the I guess with Alt buying cards, like Alt interacting, buying, the thing we saw with like TCG Player and eBay, it's not a good look when you have an open marketplace and you, the owner, to any extent are participating in and on that. It's just not good. It's not. Now, what advantages does it hold? That also can make it a whole lot worse. All right, so we got the call was coming from inside the house meme. Alt also contends that there were external shill bidders as well, that if they won an auction would not have to go through with the purchase. I mean, that's any auction platform, I'm assuming, even including Alt. Does Alt make sure everyone has to pay for it? Like, what if someone bids on something, they don't have the money for it? You see it all the time on. No matter where the auction's taking place, you're going to have people, whether their intent is to shill the item because it's their own item that they're selling through that. And that's where the privacy that the auction platforms sort of provide is just not good. If someone's selling on their own eBay account and they're making, and it's an auction, that's a whole lot more transparent than, any Joe Schmo fraudster extreme who's going to sell through those platforms because they're altered cards, because they don't want them traced back to themselves, that sort of stuff. And Alt says its own data supports its claims. So, like, let's get on to that already. And for that, we get to math with lots of assumptions. So I'll leave this to the econ and math peeps. That's the thing too, is just like, depending on how much information they actually have, being able to tell how much the item got bid up as close as possible to their, maybe not always as close as possible, how much did it get bid up by people who were not intending to bid, by people who had internal information, knowing what the max bid was. And charts of math. Alt also alleges it won a suspiciously large percentage of auctions at or within a single bidding increment of its maximum bid. So that's the thing too. If you have the math there, if you can show that, like, hey, every time I won a big item, I just barely won it. Alt says of 626 auctions, 152 of them were at or within one bid increment of its maximum bid. That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I don't know what the average would be, depending on how are they bidding high, are they bidding low, whatever. I guess that all plays into it. It's, again, hard to, without proof that they did it, concrete proof that they did it, or somebody internally that's leaking that they did it, or if they gain access to those internal, I guess, files and bids and information. Alt also alleges it won several items at its maximum bid, but that max bid was a multiple several times greater than the prior sale price of such cards. That's where it gets a little dicey, but again, I don't know if that's enough proof within itself. Now, this is all fine and dandy, but really for shill bid cases, you kind of need a who, what, where, when, how analysis, and people have to be somehow ID'd, whether by name or account or something. And it looks like Alt's complaint may try that, because it talks about an alleged group of approximately 6 individuals that it refers to as Group 1 that allegedly fraudulently and collusively bid up items in PWCC auctions, and that PWCC allegedly took no action against these individuals. Alt then provides some examples of this alleged Group 1 behavior, including a 2017 Panini Prism Gold Mahomes rookie card, a 2003 Exquisite Collection Kobe Bryant patch auto, etc., etc. Alt also alleges there's a father and son that are part of Group 1. Alt alleges because of this alleged shilling scheme, its losses are at least 4.5 million. Holy crap, that's a lot of money. Now for the claims, Alt alleges 2 claims, one for fraud and one for breach of auctioneer's duty. As I've said before, in fraud claims are more difficult to bring because you need to plead the who, what, where, when, how within your complaint. Here, while we have an alleged Group 1 of shill bidders and examples of their alleged shill bidding, I'd really like to see names as well as names of sources of all the info. That would be sick. I would love to see that as well. And I wonder if it's going to be anyone that we know, that we've heard of before. I mean, maybe with the math and identification of characteristics of an alleged shill bidding group, and also if they're still at Fanatics or not. I'd like to know how many people got kind of carried over to the Fanatics end of things versus just new hires, new leadership, new employees. That'd be interesting. I mean, maybe with the math and identification of characteristics of an alleged shill bidding group, that might get Alt over a motion to dismiss, but it might be close. For next steps in this case, we'll likely see a motion to dismiss in like 30 to 90 days, because when there's a fraud claim, there will be a motion to dismiss. So we'll get to see the defendant's challenges, and then we'll get to see Alt's responses a little bit after that. So stay tuned for that. If there's some juicy info, I will certainly make a follow-up. You guys take care. Stay safe out there. The fraud is real. It's everywhere. Do your best to avoid it. It's complex. Again, this is more on the higher end of things, but it just goes to show, like the bottom of the barrel, Whatnot G-Baller 69 is gonna fuck you, and so are some of the biggest names and companies in the hobby. Take care. Be safe. Love you guys. Have a good Saturday.